Hi, this is Marty Gold with a commentary on the 2023 Manitoba provincial election. And according to the schedule, this would be the last commentary I'll be providing for the trip prior to the ballots being counted on Tuesday. I've gotten some very nice feedback, actually, about some of my commentaries, especially early on. My commentaries and columns where I brought up a lot of old concepts, such as George Hicks and other kind of historic markers. Try to provide some balance to the coverage that is put out by mainstream media, and as well augment the coverage I provide through actionline.ca. And so I hope everybody will continue to support the efforts of independent media in Winnipeg. And so I just want to get at the outset that that your words of encouragement, your support, the fact that you recognize we're trying to do something here that ensures that there isn't one controlled narrative out there. We all know how it's controlled and why. Best example, have you seen anything about the vandalism to Heather Stevenson's constituency office on television yet? Now, I was away for the weekend, so I might have missed something, but I don't think so. How is that possible? That the offices of a premier are vandalized? And the victim of the vandalism, might I explain, is the owner of the building. And I don't know who it is. Maybe I actually know them. I don't know. They're the victims. The media has not said one word, has not gone to them for comment. That just shows you how skewed, how twisted it is. Even the fact that Ouellette publicly said that his opponent in Southdale had acted in an intimidating manner towards him. Amazing. Imagine if a man had tried to intimidate a woman, let alone an Aboriginal woman, member candidate from First Nations extraction, as his RFO. Unreported in the media. They pick and choose their spots. They pick and choose who the victims are. They pick and choose what's going to get emphasized to the public, which sometimes is not what the public emphasizes or is in line with what the public thinks. Best example during the campaign, parental rights. Very strong advanced turnout in the Maples, and that was, I think, to some extent delivered among certain ethnic and religious communities by that platform put forward by the Conservatives and by the pushback and the unhinged comments of some individuals on the other side of the political fence. It makes a difference to some people. And national polling shows that those in favor of parents having a right to full information from schools, education settings, approaches 70%. 70%. Imagine the Winnipeg media is trying to tell you that 70% of Winnipeggers are some sort of phobic, maybe racist in some cases, I don't know. They just immediately, they'll put a label on you of bigot or something. That's 70%. Could anything be more out of step with public sentiment than Wab Canoe labeling everybody as some kind of a hater for having these kinds of concerns? Well, of course, it's the NDP-dominated education system that, in terms of the administrative positions of the trustees, that may very well turn out to be the next battleground in politics in Manitoba, and probably should be. Because that's the breeding ground, that's the training ground, traditionally for campaigns, but now we see for the way that narratives are promoted and driven within schools, and the media feeds off it. Schools say this, schools say that, school administrators this, school administrators that. Next thing you know, they're trying to cancel Mother's Day in East St. Paul. Amazing how that works. So while the media has been off base and clearly in one direction, there are other stories out there. There are other facts out there. There are other pathways to understanding what's going on in the body politic in Manitoba. One thing that's not going on, you do not hear anything really about the Green Party anymore, do you? And the Liberal Party is very challenged to hold on to all three seats that they hold. And if they were to go down to one seat, it would be hard to know what the path is for a future for Manitoba Liberal Party. And notwithstanding the presence of marginal parties that have simply failed to get off the ground, get any wind in their sails, Manitoba could end up being a two-party state. Not ideal based on what I've seen in other provinces with that system. So a lot that can happen in this election. There can be a lot of reverb, as we say. Who knows what kind of legislative agenda the NDP would have on social issues. We've seen that the Tories have commitments in certain directions in that regard, as well as commitments, financial commitments, election promises, which we know how that works out sometimes. Will the promises to seniors in particular, deferred property taxes, which is NDP approved by both the NDP in British Columbia and by Gary Dewar when he was premier here, in I believe it was 2005. Will those positions that in particular the Conservatives put forward, seeking to try to hold on and maintain the status of government, will that have any effect in moving votes, and especially seniors, notorious, being traditionalists like myself, that go to vote on election day the way people should? So a few variables at play. I'm going to be interested in seeing where the ethnic vote, as we used to call it, the multicultural vote, splits in a lot of the suburban ridings. And that'll indicate whether healthcare or parental rights or crime and safety may have pushed the needle in this direction or that direction. I do want to note that there are a lot of people that work very hard on these campaigns. They're away from their work. They're away from their families. They're away from different life events. Very difficult to get into that campaign mode and to swing out and put a lot of steps on their shoes. And I do want to acknowledge the volunteers, also, volunteers that are part of the election process. I have other comments about elections in Manitoba I'll save perhaps for another day. But people work hard to put forward elections. And in that regard, those people that do their best, I just want to make sure we're recognized, at least in my commentary, about this election. And so I will return after the election with commentary, analysis, opinion, and information that you won't get anywhere else. I'll be otherwise over actionline.ca with the Great Canadian Talk Show podcast, but I'll be back after the election, do a couple of an election wrap-up, and put out an election column, post-election column. So you're going to be hearing more from me, Marty Gold, here on winnipegtribune.ca.